I was watching my clock and it just turned 5 o'clock, so we're going to get started. We are happy to have Tim Martin with the Interfaith Council here tonight to give us our invocation.
Thank you. I want to thank the council on behalf of the Interfaith Council for all that you do. We are alive and well. The St. George Interfaith Council, because of COVID, we held a fireside for Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson in the Tabernacle the night before the inauguration. Limited attendance, but I thought it was a nice tribute that the governor would have invited us to host that. So our opening prayer was by our president, Rabbi Helene, and we had a Spanish singer from the Catholic Church and a Presbyterian violinist, and the closing prayer by a Muslim. And, you know, is this a great place to live or what? So thank you for the opportunity. The people from the council that come and give these prayers enjoy it. You know, I think it's a great interaction, and 22 different churches that participate in this. So when they can't make it at the last minute, then I show up. So, but I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for your service. Please join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful this evening to be part of this great community of St. George. We're aware of the growth. We're aware of the changes that need to be made. We pray that as we work to resolve these issues, that we'll all have an open mind and be willing to understand the many different challenges that come with this growth. We're thankful for the moisture we've received. Father, we ask for more. We pray that we might be able to end this drought and ease the drought conditions that are so much a challenge for the city, for our community. We're thankful for the beauty that we enjoy every day. We're thankful for days like today that enable us to truly see the beauty of this land and the blessings that we enjoy of being part of it. Now we ask thy inspiration and thy blessing to be with those who will participate in this meeting, that they might truly be open, be able to say those things that they want to say and hear what others have to say. And these blessings we ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tim, and we are grateful that the Interfaith Council comes and prays for us every week. It's been very nice. And it's a rarity lately to see scouts, so we're happy to see scouts, and troop 0509 is going to present the colors for us and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and their leader tonight is Dalton. So
Color Guard, assemble. Scouts, attention. May the audience please rise. Color Guard, forward march. Scout right hand, salute. Color Guard, post the colors. Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color Guard dismissed. The audience may be seated.
thank you, Dalton. That was a real treat. Usually we just get the pledge. We don't have the color guard post the colors for us, so we appreciate that, and you guys did a great job. Thank you so much. We have a few pre-agenda items before we get to our agenda, and the first one is a proclamation that I will go ahead and read. It says, whereas the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks has designated the first week of May as Youth Week to honor Americans' junior citizens for their accomplishments and to give fitting recognition of their service to community, state, and nation. And whereas St. George Dixie Lodge 1743 will sponsor an observance during that week and tribute to the junior citizens of this community. And whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation than one dedicated to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource and who in the years ahead will assume the responsibility for the advancement of our free society. And whereas our youth need the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give in order to help develop these qualities of character essential for future leadership and go forth to service America. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with youth, our understanding of their hopes and aspirations, and sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for the responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now, therefore, I, Michelle Randall, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of St. George, Utah, do hereby proclaim the first week of May as Youth Week. So we have the Elks Lodge here to accept this proclamation. Anybody want to come up with you? Go ahead and introduce yourselves. And
I'm Sharon Getzman, the exalted ruler of Dixie Elks Lodge, 1743.
I'm Ernie Reese, the esteemed lecturing knight.
I'm Beth Delaberto. I am Loyal Knight.
Was there anything you wanted to say?
Well, I want to start out by here again tonight reiterating that this May 1st through the 2nd is to recognize our junior citizens of America. And the Elks organization, it strongly supports our youth with such programs as hoop shoot competition, junior golf, drug awareness, Americanism essays, and scholarships. And as you can see, we're a very proud supporter of our Boy Scout troop, and we also have a Girl Scout troop. And we include them in many of our activities, in the community activities, in lodge activities, such as the 4th of July Parade, National Flag Day, and the Elks Memorial Service. And just this past Monday, we hosted a scholarship dinner for local high school, vocational, and junior ROTC students and presented $28,000 in scholarships. And we are so honored and appreciative in you joining with us in recognizing and honor the youth of our community.
It's our pleasure, and your Girl Scouts were here last week.
Yes, they were, and they were so pleased they got a tour. They were so excited about that.
It was great to give them the tour. I'll come down and give you this prop.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Healthy Dixie. Who's doing this? All right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm excited to be here tonight. My name is Benjamin Ray. I'm the chair of the Healthy Dixie Council. And just to tell you a little bit about our council, we have members from, staff members from the local cities, from the county, different volunteers and local businesses. And we really work on promoting different healthy lifestyle activities throughout the county, including biking activities, active transportation, a big supporter of complete streets policies, and community gardens, just to name a few of the things that we really work on. And I'm grateful that you're willing to give us a couple minutes tonight. We'd like to, every year we try and present a couple of awards from the council to individuals who have gone above and beyond in promoting healthy lifestyles in our community. So we'd like to present a couple of those, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about these individuals and why we're presenting these awards. So the first one I'd like to present is to Ryan Gurr, and if I can have Ryan come up, I figure I ought to embarrass him a little bit if I have to come up here. So Ryan Gurr is the owner of Red Rock Bicycle here in St. George, and I've gotten to know Ryan over the last couple of years with Healthy Dixie. He came to us a couple years ago with an idea. He wanted to get more bicycle riding into the local schools. There's a program that's run through Specialized Bicycle called the Outride program, and it gets kids on bikes. Helps them, it's been shown through many studies, it helps them with their focus and their ability to do improve their schoolwork. Through the Healthy Dixie Council and through the work of Ryan, we were able to get that program started at Valley Academy Charter School out in Hurricane. We donated over $20,000, and Ryan was instrumental in getting all the paperwork submitted to Specialized to get that program off the ground. They've now been doing it for half a school year, and it's been met with great success. Kids getting on bikes for the first time in their lives, getting to go out on trips that they never otherwise would. And so we felt like we wanted to recognize Ryan for his instrumental role in getting this going. So present you with that. Thank you. We have a second award. So that was a local business owner, and we really appreciate the local businesses and what they do and provide to our community. One of the other awards that we always like to give is to an elected official who we feel like supports healthy and active lifestyles. And this year we've chosen to recognize Councilwoman Danielle Larkin for her work in active transportation. I've gotten to know her again over the last couple of years working with Healthy Dixie, and she has been a strong advocate in the community of getting out and being active in many different ways, a strong supporter of our active transportation all around the many communities. Has really helped out and been there on the front lines when we've done a lot of the different activities, especially over at the university. So we would like to present this certificate to Councilwoman Larkin for her work in that area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Brian's a little bummed he didn't get that award. Maybe next year, Brian. Harleys aren't the same type of bike that Danielle bikes on. So once you've been, maybe, get yourself a pedal bike, then you're going to get closer. So Michelle Graves, we're going to turn some time over to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to report and present the newest pieces to our permanent collection at the Art Museum. Every year during the art festival, the city allots us a donation of $5,000 to purchase art for the permanent collection. And it was just such a successful year. All the artists at the art festival had just stellar years because I think things were shut down and this was the first big opening, and our city just really presented well and purchased all these wonderful works of art. And we had the pieces that we picked, all of the artists contributed, reduced their price to allow us to purchase 4 new pieces. So I'll just tell you a teeny bit about them. Looking at the first one is Bonnie Conrad in Light, and it's a beautiful oil painting. The second picture is Diane Adams. It's called Encourage, and it is made from recycled handmade paper. And she will also be our featured artist for next year. So her husband actually does sculpture, so it's very hard to pick a 2 or 3D artist for a featured artist in the art festival because we make a poster out of their work. So we're really pleased this year that we can profile both artists next year because they are equally talented. But we really liked her recycled handmade paper work, and that will be our This particular piece will not be our poster for next year, but she has a lovely picture of aspen trees that will be our poster for next year. And then the third piece was the piece that won all the awards and we just fell in love with. And this painting was wet on the way over. That's how, he had just finished the piece. And actually, it was almost insulting for me to ask him for a donation for this piece. It's called Leaving the Station, and it's an oil painting as well. And when I talked to him, he said, well, boy, my heartstrings are still with this painting. Let me think about it a little bit. And about an hour or two later, after I had discussed it with him, and a lady called me. Her name is Inga Felish. I hope I say that right. And she said, you know what? I have a small company in St. George, and the city of St. George has been so good to me and my business. And her business is Tri-State Electric and Utility Company. And she said, I was just speaking with the artist because I love this piece, and he told me the story of how the art museum would like it for their permanent collection. And I would like him to get the full amount for this painting. And so I would like to contribute the difference of that painting. And so that piece, that's what St. George is all about, right? That piece was actually purchased for $2,500 by us, and she contributed $1,700 of her personal funds to be able to have that as a permanent piece. So we're thrilled about that piece. And then we had a little bit of money left, and we decided to buy the final piece, which is Jennifer Worsley's Guardsman Under September Clouds. And we loved it because it's unique. It's a wood block print, and wood block artists are kind of a dying breed, and we just thought that was a beautiful piece, and that rounded out our spending and our collection, and we stayed right in our budget, and we purchased all these beautiful pieces. So we hope that you enjoy them. They'll be on display at the museum, and then we'll curate them, and you'll see them occasionally. So thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
They're beautiful. Adam, any changes to the agenda?
No changes, but I would point out that there is an addendum, item F, and that will be included in the consent calendar.
Okay. All right. So let's get to it.
Well, Mayor, how do you feel about item number 1? I mean, this is...
Well, I've gone back and forth all day, but I am thrilled with item number 1, and hope the council will appoint Shane Moore as our new Leisure Services Director.
You looking for a motion?
I'm looking for a motion.
I would love to make a motion to appoint Shane Moore as our new Leisure Services Director.
Second.
Just one point of clarification. Is he going to always be wearing a shirt and tie?
I saw him in a shirt and tie during his interview, and probably today, and I think that's probably it.
I'm like, who is that back there?
Right? Yeah. So I have a motion by Danielle and a second by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Shane, we'd love to hear a couple words from you.
Well, thank you so much. I am so honored and humbled. It's just such a great opportunity. I've had the last week to meet the amazing staff at the Art Museum, at the Dixie Center, and all the other divisions that are under Leisure Services, and there's just some amazing people. So I'm really excited to build on what the awesome foundation that Shane McAfee and Kent Perkins have left us. So thank you so much.
Shane, you're amazing, but you're a great addition to the executive staff. And, one thing about Shane is he is the epitome of customer service and treating the community with respect and listening to them even when they call and complain. Perfect example is, I don't know if we all got the same email or if I just got the email. Somebody was having an issue with a pavilion in the park. And I forwarded that email to Shane, and within an hour, Shane had contacted that person and arranged to have a meeting with him. And come to find out, the citizen actually had a really great idea. And Shane said, you know what? Your idea is great. We're going to change this plan around. And I bet forever now, that person that lives in our community will always be a fan of the Parks Department, and hopefully the city as well. But just keep doing that great job, and your department is seen all over in our community, and they represent us. And so you've done a great job in helping them to see that the customer, which is really our community, come first. And we're so happy to have you. Council, anybody
Thank you so much.
else have anything they want to say?
Yeah, Mayor, I have just been super honored to be able to work with Leisure Services, and I'm really excited to work with Shane. Like you said it all. I mean, he's just amazing and always above and beyond, always so responsive. And the joke people keep asking me is, did we choose him because he has the same initials? So all the monogrammed shirts that Shane McAfee had, that he'll just start wearing those now. But that's not why we chose him. It's not because of the monogram. It's because he's just an amazing person. So we look forward to many years working with you, Shane Moore.
I'd like to say congratulations, Shane, and you weren't just given this because you had two other people that were very qualified to do this.
Three,
excuse me. And they were all very, very well set to do this, but you rose above there, and congratulations. Nice job.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the rest of them as well.
I just want to jump in. So I used to do this event called Spooky Town Fair, and then before that it was called Taste of Dixie. It was always at the town square, and we'd always have we'd set up the morning of, it's a one-day event. So we're there at like 5 a.m. setting up. It's cold, it's in October, and we'd always have an issue, always. And it's like either a power issue or a water issue. And I know that I could call Leisure Service Department, and who would show up is always Shane, early in the morning, and he's down there digging in the mud, and it's like a mess. And you always made it easy, and you're always there with a smile. I just couldn't be more impressed. I'm so excited you're in this position. The one thing that people know about St. George is our parks. We're a recreation destination, and I'm so glad you're at helm. Thank you so much, for doing it.
You do need to get the mayor trained up on the merry-go-round, though.
We're going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Shane.
You already know how I feel. We'll hug later.
Thanks, everybody. And I just want to say a special thanks to Cody Schmidt for tying this tie for me. So.
Good job, Cody.
You know, we're fortunate. We really do have an incredible team in Leisure Services. Really, all of our staff, we're just so lucky. And Shane's part of a really good team over there. And we want to recognize Becky as well. Thank you for your support. We understand how much goes on behind the scenes, and our people need all the help and support they can get. They've got challenging jobs, and thank you. So.
And what I love is some of the candidates for his position are extremely happy for him. You know, it's such a great team. It's a great team. Lucky to be a part of it. So, consent calendar. Council, anything that you'd want to talk about or need more clarification on?
Well, I don't know. Sorry, Jimmy, you go ahead. I just thought that maybe Brian could share with us on F about the opportunity to donate.
Do you want me to do that? So when we were, the Gold Star Memorial, that hit the press today, and it'll be spread out, but it's going to go into Town Square, and we're really excited to get it. So Becky Taylor, whose husband Brent Taylor was killed in action, started the Brent Taylor Memorial Fund, and they've already done the Gold Star Memorial, so it was easier for us to have people send checks there, and she would keep track of the checks, and she would give everybody their tax receipts through her foundation instead of us having to send it back to the Woody Williams Foundation. And so that's why we went with this. It just made it easier for all involved.
So the donation's available online now.
Donations available online,
Yeah.
or if businesses want to write a check, there's actually a P.O. box here in St. George that they can write the check to, and it's all done through Zions Bank, and yeah.
It's going to be really cool. I'm excited about it. I just wanted to highlight it because I think we can easily get the money raised and get this really cool memorial into our community for these families of veterans. It'll be a sacred space, and I think it'll be really a great addition to our community.
You know, this memorial is for the families that have lost fallen soldiers, and you know, they're oftentimes forgotten because they have nobody left within that circle, that family that they had before. And this is a place that we can honor them and continue to tell them thank you for the service that they did and supported for their lost soldier. And so I think this is a great tribute to them for their service and sacrifice. And I am really looking forward to this finally getting in there, hopefully by Veterans Day. So
That's our goal, to raise all the money by Veterans Day. So,
It's going to happen.
yeah, it will.
Good.
Yep.
I was just going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the consent calendar, including the addendum item F.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy, seconded by Vardell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Items 3, 4, and 5 all involve subdivision amendments, and Wes is going to cover these for us.
Hi, Wes.
Hi there.
Okay, so item 3 is a public hearing and consideration of a subdivision amendment for Four Master Ridge Phase 3 Partial Amendment A, lots 309 and 310 by adjusting the common lot line and public utility and drainage easement northerly, making these lots larger and shifting the existing utility easement. So it's these two lots here, the lot line was here, the shift now, they're just shifting the lot line here, and they're taking with it the utility easements that were along that lot line. So that's basically the request.
Council, any questions for Wes?
So both parties are okay with the
Yeah.
lot line shift?
Yep.
Okay.
This is a public hearing, so Ollie will open it up for public comment if anybody's come to comment on item number 3. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to you, Council, for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the subdivision amendment for Four Master Ridge Phase 3 Partial Amendment A by adjusting the common lot line and public utilities and drainage easement northerly, making the lot 309 larger and lot 310 smaller.
Second.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 4 is a request for a public hearing and consideration of a subdivision amendment for Southgate Hills Subdivision Phase 5, Partial Amendment A, lots 74 and 5, by merging these two lots and vacating the public utility easement. So this was 74 and 75, and I just brought the original plat just so you could see it. So here is 74 and 75. Also, this is the hillside ridgeline setback, which is a 100-foot setback from the ridge line. So the change on this plat is to merge these two lots, vacate the easement, and then we met the developer out, or the owner on site of the two lots, walked it with him as he requested that to adjust the ridgeline setback. We walked it with him and agreed that it could be moved back a little bit. So there is a little change in that 100-foot ridgeline setback on this plat amendment.
Questions for Wes? This too is a public hearing. Anybody who's come to comment on item number 4? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Come back to you for a motion, council.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve a subdivision amendment for Southgate Hill subdivision Phase 5, partial amendment of Amendment A of lots 74 and 75 by merging the two lots together into one lot and vacating the public utility and drainage easement located between said lots.
I'll second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Gregg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 5 is a public hearing and consideration of subdivision amendment for Tonnequin Center Phase 2, second amended and extended by adjusting the lot lines and public utility easements and dedicating a portion of 1600 South. So here's the plat here. I just brought the aerial too. So right now, this lot right here, that's their property. This lot's here. It's basically to extend the lot line to this location here, decreasing lot 6, but increasing lot 4. And then these two were the missing pieces of 1600 South that takes us to the county and city line right there for the extension of Gap Canyon Parkway or 1600 South in the future. So basically that dedicates it to this point so that when this ever annexes in, we have the roadway dedicated to that point right there. It can match right up with it. So that's what this plat dedicates.
Any questions for Wes?
Not a question, but a comment that this is like my business neighborhood, and so when the notice from the city came out, which I appreciated, I understand that's a courtesy rather than a required statute, but I took the opportunity to visit with the neighbors, and nobody really had any concerns over this particular change. So.
All right, this too is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing for anybody who's come to comment on item number 5. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Come back for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve a subdivision amendment for Tonnequin Center Phase 2. The second amended and extended by adjusting the lot lines and the public utility easements.
Second.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is D.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're happy to present to you the fiscal year 2021-22 recommended budget that begins July 1st and June 30th of 2022. It's been quite the year. First of all, I want to say thank you to the department heads and their management teams, to Adam, to Chad Moultrie, who's my wingman. I couldn't do this without him. He's our assistant budget manager. To Christina, she does a lot of help in the background to us, and then to Trevor, who also sits in on some of our meetings with our department heads. So this process starts way back, as you know, when we do our strategy session in around December. And from that point forward, we're all spending countless hours towards preparing a document that takes our short-term and long-term priorities and puts them in a document that leads us forward and helps us accomplish all of those goals for our employees, for our community, and for our leadership. I do want to say that we did receive the Distinguished Budget Award for last year's budget, and that's the second year in a row that we've received that, and we're pretty proud of that accomplishment. So getting into the weeds on the budget, I'll just cover some information. You have the budgets in front of you, and they're just abridged copies. Some of you have the full binder, and it's over 300 pages worth of information, graphs, and documentation of our forecasts and our goals and our objectives for the following year and for the future. Our budget reflects the city's commitment not only to provide services that focus on people and advance an active, thriving, and fiscally healthy community. Our citizens have been resilient throughout the pandemic. We've withstood the health and social and economic challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're eager to move forward with many of the plans and projects that were put on hold during our last budget year. So I just want to preface that by saying that we do have some significant increases in this year's budget, and it is a catch-up year for our budget. You'll see that with our employees and with our capital outlay that we've included this year as we're trying to catch up. So despite the fact that we were very conservative in last year's budget, the city continues to outsurpass the nation, and I feel like the state in all the growth that we have, all the visitors that we have, and so we do need to, what we put on pause, we need to move forward with bringing that back up to speed. So the fiscal year 2022 budget is $415,321,000 and some change. It does represent a $110 million increase from last year's budget. And again, remember that we really reduced last year's budget. Some of the projects that we're bringing back are the new city hall and renovating the police building and this building and purchasing property for that. That's about $30 million. We've also got an increase of about $11 million in our public work capital projects for drainage and transportation next year. And they're going to be busy, really busy. We also have the American Rescue Plan funds that increased our budget by about $16 million as anticipated. It can be used for water, broadband, and sewer infrastructure, and a few other items. So those are really your biggest increases from last year's budget to this budget. And there's some charts in there that show how our capital increases significantly. Some other highlights are we did have requests for over 70 employees this year. And remember that last year we only approved 3 new employees with the budget. We had a few during the year that we added on. But when we started into last year, we had 34 requests for new employees. So again, we're catching up this year. We had 70 requests. We're able to fund 46 of those requests. The highlights there are 7 in the police department, 10 in the fire department, so the focus is on public safety, and then also 7 more in our engineering department, or our energy department, excuse me. We have a list of all those employees requested. Pardon? We have a list of all the employees requested in the end of the document. So too numerous to list in a paragraph. Anyway, we are not asking for a property tax increase in our budget next year. We are asking to increase some of our golf fees, and I believe our golfers are probably very pleased with some of the improvements that we've done around our golf courses. And this year we're looking at improving also the St. George Clubhouse. And so we're making big strides, and those fee increases go towards helping us make those changes for our golf courses. Our recreation facilities, we are looking at a resident versus non-resident fee for some of those facilities. We do have a water rate adjustment of 10 cents per 1,000 gallons, and that's a pass-through of our wholesale rate that we get from the Washington County Water Conservancy District. So that's a pass-through rate increase. And then a few years ago, we approved a 5-year plan for the energy department to increase the residential base rate by $1. This will be our 3rd year of increase by $1. So that's $12 per year to the residential increase per each customer. And they are also asking to increase the Tier 2 residential rate by 10 cents, or excuse me, by 1 cent. Those are really the highlights of the increases, and whether it be rates or capital and the total amount of our budget. The budget will be available on the city's website tonight and our eNet, so that our citizens and our employees can review the document. And then the department heads will have the opportunity to visit with you regarding their budgets. And that will be our work meetings on May 13th and May 27th. And then we will also have 2 public hearings. We're only required to have 1 by the state of Utah, but we'll have 2. That's what we normally do. And 1 will be June 3rd. And then we'll ask for another public hearing and adoption of the budget on June 17th. So, any questions? It's a mouthful.
Council, any questions for Deanna?
More a comment than a question. I've spent a fair amount of time doing budgets myself, not nearly as sophisticated as this one. Congratulations on surviving yet another year. This is pretty detailed and amazing work that you put together with a lot of moving parts. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope people will recognize that when COVID hit, we pulled back to the bare minimum and put a freeze on everything because we didn't know what COVID was going to do. And so we're taking what we froze and said we can't do and added it with this year. And look at the growth of our city. We have got to keep up with the growth in all departments. But as you can see, adding 17 new employees to public safety, that's just a drop in the bucket of the way we're growing. So when you do see that $415 million, it's a big pill to swallow, but last year we were really frugal all the way around. Adam, you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say again how proud I am of our staff, Dee in particular, Dee and Chad, and those others who are mentioned. The budget is a policy document, and I think a great way to look at this document is how does it benefit our residents? What improvements are we making to our residents' quality of life? And I think everybody's going to be really pleased to see how many projects we're planning on, how many things we anticipate completing in this budget year. I think all of our residents are going to see big differences throughout the community across the board, whether it be street improvements, and we hear a lot about that, the state of our roads and traffic. So we have big plans to hit some of those areas that are problematic because of the growth, but also parks and public works, our utilities. We are making significant investments in our future. I think our residents are going to be proud of what they see. We do take a lot of pride in the responsibility that's on us as staff to do good, honest work with taxpayer dollars. I do want to emphasize again, because I think it's worth mentioning, that we are moving forward. We're anticipating moving forward without requiring a property tax increase. Now, we haven't done that for a long time. We haven't needed to increase our property taxes. There probably is some future date, particularly for public safety, police, and fire, as we're growing and we see the need to expand and build additional fire stations and staff those stations, and we need additional police officers just to keep up with the growth. We anticipate we'll probably have to do that at some point. We'll only do that when it's absolutely necessary. But we are able to do that in this budget without needing to increase taxes. Overall, as far as our taxes go, I would encourage anyone with any questions or concern about taxes to come talk to us. We'd be happy to answer any questions. We really present, in my opinion, what is a significant bargain in terms of what is paid in property tax and then what we get as a community. We actually enjoy a very high standard of living, a very high quality of life, in part because of our tourists. And so sometimes, we curse those tourists who are here and they're putting stresses on our economy, but the dollars that they spend in our community go so far. It's really this multiplier effect that we're very fortunate to have, where they're also helping to pay for infrastructure and a lot of the nice things that we enjoy. So it's a two-edged sword there, but a lot of things to consider. But this is our policy document, and we hope that the council will find that it meets your priorities and your needs. And if there's anything that you feel that we've missed, let us know, and we look forward to the public hearings as well.
And, to Dee and Chad and their whole team, kudos, because you make a 300-page budget plus budget document, budget for dummies. I mean, it's so easy to read with charts and graphs and everything we need to know, and that the public can get on the website and easily read it all and see where their tax dollars are being spent. So Thanks. I know it's a horrible job. I would hate to have your job. But you do it so well.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You do a great job, Dee, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Glad she doesn't budget my money.
She's always smiling, so I don't think she thinks it's a horrible job. Well, maybe some days.
Yeah. So there is no, you don't have to take action tonight. Just approve that we'll set those public hearings for June 3rd and June 17th. Otherwise, no action is needed on your part tonight.
So just need a motion to set those public hearings.
Motion to set the public hearings for the preliminary budget for June 3rd and June 17th.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy, seconded by Danielle. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This is a resolution. This is a resolution to adopt the preliminary budget and then set those.
Oh.
Okay, so Jimmy, you want to redo your motion?
Yeah. A motion to approve the resolution accepting and adopting the preliminary budget for 2021-2022, if you can believe that, and setting the public hearings for June 3rd and June 17th.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, starting with Bardale.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, council, items 7, 8, and 9 are all related to the expansion of Stone Cliff, and Wes will take these as well.
So item 7 is to consider approval of a settlement and donation agreement between Stonecliff and the city. And item 8 is consider approval of a hillside permit to allow for expansion of Stonecliff. They kind of run together, but you'll have to take separate motions. And then Dan will come up and present item 9, which is the zone change amendment. So basically, the agreement between Stonecliff and the city is Stonecliff still owns this parcel here. It's been left undisturbed. So the agreement and the hillside was to allow the developer to take those portions of this parcel here that could be disturbed based on the slope categories in the hillside overlay zone and transfer them to here to offset the disturbance that they wouldn't be allowed here. I hope that makes sense. So basically is whatever they could disturb here, they've transferred to here, and then the agreement says then this will be dedicated to the city to help protect that it remains in perpetuity as open space. And this then allows them to develop that frontage parcel right there.
Questions for Wes?
You show us. It was really hard for me to tell. What are the open spaces remaining?
On Stonecliff?
Uh-huh.
Well, there's this one right
just in this agreement.
Oh, just in this agreement, it's this parcel right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that's hatched down there is the developed space.
Yeah, so this had some area, and you've seen it, it's right along 1450 South. It rises and then it flattens out.
Yeah.
And basically it was to use what they could disturb here to put here and to offset that and then leave that as open space and give it to the city.
Got it. And there was a question from a resident in regards to that open space being traded before, but we've determined that that was not so, correct?
No, this is owned by the Stonecliff Traveler. Mm-hmm. That's their property right there, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then Dan will present the zone change.
All right, so third part of this is a zone change to consider approval of an ordinance changing the zoning from R110 to a PDR on approximately 15.37 acres located generally southwest of the intersection of 1450 South and 3000 East. So this is actually there's two pieces to this puzzle. This is the area furthest east. That is one portion, and then this other area over here on the west, both up against 1450, is a second. And you may recall a couple of years ago, I think 2018, they came in with this piece here. In fact, I'll show you that here in just a second. You can see that where that PD exists here, that was done back in 2018. So they just want to fill in these two gaps, this one here and this one here, from R110 to that PDR. And you can see that just a little bit easier. This is a preliminary layout. Of course, they'll have to come back for the preliminary plat when the time comes. But this is kind of what they're proposing at this time. So with this little over 15 acres, they're looking for approximately 21 lots coming from that zone change. And then this here in blue shows you the area that was previously zoned PDR. And again, 21 units, quite a bit less than the, if you take the 4 dwelling units per acre and multiply it, significantly less than what would be allowed under that. So that is the request. Wes went over this, so I won't go over this again. Planning Commission held public hearing on that and recommended approval for the zone change. If you have any other questions, we can answer those for you.
Questions for Dan?
I'm just curious, was item number 7 reviewed by Planning Commission?
No, that was not.
Just to clarify, there's going to be 20, they're proposing 21 units when they could have up to 61.
Yeah, just by
but
doing
because
the math.
of the,
yeah, it's more than that. That's from this zone change. There's more than that if you include that area that's in blue on the screen. But yeah, from this zone change, the result would be approximately 21 units. Some of those are inside and outside. You can kind of see how they meander throughout those zones, but that would be the net result.
so are there any requirements that they're exceeding or needing to be waived? Or
No.
no? Okay.
They just need the hillside approval.
Okay.
And the development agreement.
Any other questions for staff?
We would just ask for the 3 separate motions in order, 6, 7, and 8 separately. Or excuse me, 7, 8, 9.
I'll go ahead with 7 if you're okay with that, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the settlement and donation agreement between Stonecliff and the city.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy, seconded by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve the hillside permit to allow for the expansion of Stonecliff development to be known as Stonecliff expansion, affecting approximately 1.4 acres located south of 1450 South Street.
Second.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 9.
I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance changing the zoning from R110 to PDR on approximately 15.37 acres located generally southwest of the intersection of 1450 South and 3000 East. This project will be known as the Stonecliff expansion.
Second.
Motion by Bardell, seconded by Greg. All in favor, starting with Danielle.
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
So this next item is to consider approval of an ordinance changing the zone from RE 37.5, which is residential estates, 37,500 square foot lot sizes, to R110, residential with a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet on .76 acres located on the corner of Delmar Drive and Damascus Drive. So you can see here the location of the property along Damascus and Delmar Drive. Here, the zoning map, you can see this upper portion is all RE 37.5, and then to the south of the property and contiguous to it is the R110 zoning that they're asking for. General plan shows this entire area as low-density residential. Then here's just some photos showing the home and the property. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing. They recommended approval at the Planning Commission. Public comment really discussed the issue that if they did get the R110 zoning, that there would be the possibility that they could put 3 lots on there and not just divide it. So that was the main discussion. And the applicants are here if you'd like to discuss anything with them.
Is that a possibility?
In the R110, providing they met the setbacks, yeah.
Paula, is there anything that you could put in an agreement that they couldn't do that?
We would have to do it with an agreement to be able to restrict it, but it is possible.
My understanding is the plan is just for 2 lots.
Correct. They're going to split it in half, and another family member is going to build a house on that vacant lot.
Didn't we see this exact request just a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I believe in 2017 they came forth to ask for the same request.
So my concern with this is setting a precedent. I think we have different zones in the city, and this is one very well known, areas of the community where we have the larger lots, and that's what people expect when they come to this area. I don't want to set a precedent that we do start changing those zones. I think we need to preserve different areas that are set up in a different way. Sure, we're working for high density in certain areas of the community, and then I think we need to preserve the larger lots in other areas of the community. Just a thought on this, just to share thoughts. If there is interest in putting additional homes, I think we have addressed that with the city with the ADUs. So now you can put a second home on the property. So, in my opinion, I think we need to preserve the zonings that we have.
Could a house behind this home, would it front Delmar?
Yes, it would.
So I think if you see this property, I understand what Greg's saying, but if you see this property, it kind of, in this instance, it would work. What's the surrounding zoning?
The surrounding zoning where it's at is the 37.5. Across the street it is. We can go back here.
What about right behind it?
And
right where the arrow is right there.
So where the arrow is the R110, and then everything surrounding it is the RE 37.5.
Yeah. So it's not like it's clear out of character. It's kind of transitional. Here's my deal, and I agree with Greg because there are some ways to do an accessory dwelling unit. However, sometimes when we do that and try to make it fit, I've known some people that have connected 2 homes with the breezeway so they could say they have 1 home. And so at some point, I think we look at it and say, okay, again, I don't want to set a precedent either, but in this particular parcel where you have this lot that has, it's a corner lot, so you have 2 street entrances, that it might be better than trying to do an accessory dwelling unit and make people jump through unnecessary hoops. Just my opinion. So I'd have a tendency to be a little more okay with this, with the thought that they could do an accessory dwelling unit. Only are we going to be making them jump through more hoops just so they can fit into that accessory dwelling unit scenario?
Well, now that was an old issue, but they don't have to connect with roof lines anymore
Right.
for accessory dwelling units. It can be a totally separate unit.
And I'm not voting on this. But the other lots there in the ranches that are big, they could only have an accessory dwelling unit if they wanted a home behind them due to a fire truck trying to get back there. It would be like a flag lot. This is the only lot there that wouldn't be a flag lot. So.
Yeah, and I think that'd be part of my reasoning as well if we were to approve that. Is that it's just a little bit of a different than just every other lot in that area, and it is right where it transitions into the next zoning.
Yeah, it does have frontage there along Delmar where they can access that.
John, do we know why it was denied 3 years ago?
Nearly the same conversations we're having tonight regarding the character of the area. Animal rights were brought up. Those were literally the same conversations we're having now as the reason that it was denied.
Okay.
Was that the concern of the neighbors too, or was it mostly concern?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Well, and
it's not a public hearing, sir.
I can totally see both sides. I mean, I know it's frontage right there, and I know it connects behind, but I also think as soon as we start eating into that, then the lot next door says, well, now I'm connected to R110, and then the lot next to that says, well, now I'm connected to R110. I mean, I know I really faced that on my property out in Little Valley. There were people kind of in the middle that, were like, hey, we don't want to be A1 anymore, and we stayed A1 because, somebody in the middle of the block wanted it changed, and it was like, well, once we start, then we're not going to have any A1 here anymore. And like Greg said, I mean, we definitely need density, and we're looking for that in certain spots, but like preservation of some of these larger lots and the animal rights and these more agricultural type spaces are becoming very few and far between. So that's my concern, is that for the same reason that it was denied in 2017, those same reasons exist today. So.
Yep, that's usually my speech, because if you do put people in there next to animals that don't understand that or don't have that same right, they don't always love it.
Yeah.
So, and we don't want to have, they have to just live with it though. Sorry. Right? Right. I was going to say, can I get an amen? But right's good enough. So.
Any more questions, council, or somebody want to make a motion?
Public comment.
This isn't a public hearing.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we recommend denial of the zone change. Okay. Motion to deny the zone change from RE 37.5 to R110.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Brian. All in favor, starting with Danielle.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
All right, item number, I guess we're on item 11, is to consider approval of an ordinance changing the general plan from commercial to high-density residential on approximately 1.85 acres, located generally west of Bluff Street at approximately 250 west between 800 and 900 south. The project is known as Soleil Ridge, formerly known as the Cove. And you have seen this, not this particular property, but this project area several times before. The applicant has come in asking for change from commercial to open space on this property up here on the hillside, and then high density residential down in here. This is the general plan map. Now these areas that are outlined in blue have been changed. The map just hasn't updated, so I just want to make sure that's clear. These are HDR. This is HDR. This section up here is HDR. So they were asking to fill in this last gap here in green, which is 1.85 acres, also with HDR. So that, okay, and that's the zoning. Currently it's C2, so they'll eventually they'll have to come in with a zone change, likely to a PD, to accommodate their development they want to do back there, high density residential development. So Planning Commission heard this. They held a public hearing. Didn't have any public comment, but they ultimately recommended that the City Council approve this item. If there are any other questions for me?
What's the current amount of HDR how many acres of HDR do we have currently?
This would put it at about 11. So it's right around 10 acres. It's right around 10. It put it a little over 11 acres.
Sorry. So how many units can they put on currently, and then what would this add?
Well, 22, I'm sorry, I haven't done the math. 22 units per acre, potentially, over that 11 to 12 acres. I should have figured that out. Sorry.
That's okay. Then this would add another 44 units, the option of another 44 units?
Yeah, approximately. Yep.
Okay.
A little less.
Any questions for Dan?
Dan, do we know the hillside issues? I mean, I know this is just general plan, so I know we'll look more in depth at this in further stages. But, you know, I went out and looked at this property today. It looks like there's quite a bit of hillside in it.
There is. A lot of this property right here, and in fact, they went to hillside once. They're going to have to go back just because so much has changed. They've added, they've got a new developer. It's changed significantly since they went to hillside originally. So they're going to have to go back to check this all out. I don't know. Maybe Wes, you could help me with exactly what some of the hillside issues were when we went to hillside. Do you recall?
I think the main one is they actually, like Dan said, we did hillside the project, and so they actually went up and basically identified the limits of disturbance. And I don't know if when you were out there, if you saw those stakes up there, should be stakes that run along that whole line. And so that basically they agreed to that condition, because originally they were more up into here, but they came back and reworked it and got it down a lot lower. And so, yeah, those stakes out there represented the disturbance line if you saw those out there.
Wes, is this an area where we've observed any slides?
No, it's actually, the landslide property actually is just a little south of here and to the south. As you get into here, there is some clay, obviously, but yeah, you're out of the high hazard and landslide area. Yep.
So when we go back to hillside, they'll need to restake that whole thing, make sure that their proposed development is within those same boundaries. So that will be a future application. Well, it will be.
So I got another question for you. So they have the HDR and we're approved for 220 units as of right now. Will there be an option to pull in hillside of land that they own to increase that density in the HDR that they have approved? Does that make sense?
John's saying no.
No. Yeah.
No? Okay. Well,
the other thing I would say is that even if this is approved, even if you approve this, they still got to come back for a rezone that'll determine exactly what density they're going to get to. So that's something also to consider.
When we had them do the original HDR, we had them map the slope, and that open space reflects that. They don't have any residential zone or slope on residential zone on that slope that they can pull the acreage off. It's all either commercial or open space, so they don't have that ability to pull that off. This 11 acres is real close in size to what Greyhawk is, and so Greyhawk is a very similar type area as what they're proposing.
Is that with the additional or without the additional?
Overall, so Greyhawk's right around 11 acres, and they have about 240.
And this right now is, currently they have 10 and they're trying to add, well, the request is to add 2 more.
Yeah, so it's a real similar, just to give a little bit of context on the size.
Okay.
If you add it, it's the same.
Yeah.
And remember, this is general plan.
Yeah.
I just want to add a comment. So I went out and walked this as well today, looking at it. My thought is the council and the city has been very generous. This group has come back twice now to add additional high-density housing. It is kind of an area, a little bit worried about the hillside on there. I think we're working on that, but the initial plan had commercial in it, then that commercial was pulled out to add additional HDR, and the council worked with that. In my opinion, I think leaving this commercial is something that fit. I think the plan that they came with earlier, which maybe is not, I don't know if we approved the plan or not, but the towers and they had, everything fit really well. I don't know if at this time we should add additional in that space. And I like the idea of adding back the commercial that was pulled out earlier. So that's my opinion on this piece.
I'll just say, Greg and I have talked about this today. We've been going over this space, but I'm kind of the opposite idea. I really felt like standing on there that it made sense to just connect this up as a high-density space. I don't think that additional space, when you're standing out there, to me, it doesn't add that much to what's already there. You know, this additional space just feels like it is more cohesive to all be residential. I think it's been a commercial space for a lot of years and never taken off. It's hard for me to picture commercial being really successful back behind there. I mean, it's possible, but it just doesn't seem like a great spot for commercial that far back. So I personally think that it makes sense to just tie that in. And I'm not sure, in my perception, because it's kind of hidden back there, if there's maybe like, say, one additional apartment building, it's actually kind of hard to see from the street. You don't even know much is back there. So it's got, you know, proximity to Bluff Street, proximity to I-15s, proximity to that fantastic new commercial space that we just approved that's going to be updated. It'll be nice for them to have that density to feed in. They can just walk across the street right there. That stoplight's there, so yeah.
Now, commercial, I think, will work back there. It hasn't worked before because it's just a place that is a bad hillside that sits behind a hotel. But once there is some high-density housing in there, then a commercial space definitely would work. It'll be tied in better. It won't be hillside. You know, it'll be developed. So I still like the idea of commercial back in there. And Greyhawk is a huge apartment complex. There is a lot going on there. This is a lot different location than Greyhawk. This isn't an open space by the river. This is something that goes into the side of the hill in a kind of confined area. So I think adding additional HDR to this location, I think what we have is sufficient. I don't think adding it is something that is beneficial.
Any other comments?
I just see an opportunity for a little higher density without totally upsetting the neighbors. I think it fits.
If anybody's ready to make a motion, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mayor, to recommend approval of an ordinance changing the general plan from commercial to HDR on approximately 1.85 acres located generally west of Bluff Street at approximately 250 west between 800 and 900 south.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Vardell. All in favor, starting with Danielle.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. This is item number 12. This is to consider approval of an ordinance amending Title 10, 8B1, 10, 8D1, and 10, 17A, 15 as it pertains to car washes. As you may recall, a little while ago, maybe a month or two ago, the council asked us as staff to go back and look at our car wash ordinance. There's not much really to look at, so we are proposing some ideas that may help with car wash design and so forth. So that is what this is. What we are first recommending is to take the car wash recirculating water system manual auto or spray. That's the use, so car wash use out of the commercial zone. So your C1, 2, 3, and 4. That's what this is showing. We are recommending that it be put in the PDC. So car wash would be required to be in a PD with, and you see the PS that is permitted with standards. So that means that we would put some standards in Title 10 that would help regulate car washes and their design. And these are the ones that we are suggesting, and we are certainly up for changes. If you feel like some of these need to be tweaked, we can always bring something back to you, but we'll go through these really quickly. The one on the left is as staff proposed it. Planning Commission held a public hearing, received some feedback from the public, and they made some changes or recommended some changes, and that's what you'll see on the right side of the screen. So number 1 talks about some plantings, berms, just ways of screening the drive aisles. Planning Commission made suggestion that they take some of that language out of specifically about the plantings, berms, et cetera, and just say add additional plantings. So that was their suggestion. Number 2 was car washes shall use facade materials that produce texture. So this has to do mostly with the materials that a car wash would use. Split face block, brick, stucco, that kind of thing. We also, in that section, have recommended that the colors be muted so you don't have these bright colors that we see on some of the car washes. And then no long continuous roof lines, so they need some horizontal relief as well. And then the Planning Commission made the suggestion to change the bright or reflective colors may be used as an accent to the business. The third was facing the tunnels away from residential uses so you don't get loud noises. I was on a site the other day with the car wash off in the distance, and we could hear that noise coming from the sprayers quite a bit. And we were a fair distance away, probably a quarter to a third of a mile, if not farther. And so we want to face those tunnels away from any residential so that we don't get that sound coming out the ends. Try to muffle some of that at least a little bit. And then number 4, vacuum stations, and then Planning Commission suggested we put and vacuum related equipment comply with the setbacks so that they're not right up against the street. 5, vacuum stations and related equipment are prohibited along any side of the building facing a residential use. So again, trying to keep that away from the residences. Recycling of water. So this is just, this goes along with what was in there already, that they would have to recycle their water so we don't run into problems with that. Site shall provide space sufficient to allow at least 5 vehicles to stack. So we're trying to accommodate stacking in these types of facilities. And then finally, neon or similar lighting shall not be permitted except as an accent to architectural building elements. So trying to get away from loud flashing lights, things like that. And the Planning Commission suggested that we add the language on the end, but no more restrictive than other drive-through businesses. I think that was one of the key points that the public made, and the public was primarily car wash owners, developers, things like that. But they wanted to try to treat car washes the same as we would treat other commercial developments. So that was the recommendation from staff, and then the recommendation changes from the Planning Commission. Like I said, Planning Commission held their public hearing, ultimately recommended approval, but with these proposed changes. So if you have any other questions or want to suggest changes, we're here to facilitate that.
I was curious about the lighting. You know, I know the tag and go on River Road for a while, there were really bright lights like on the vacuums that stayed on all night, and that was an issue for the neighbors. I don't know about timing of the lighting, if that needs to be included, or if that's just something, you know, that it's like if they do have bright lights that they turn off at a certain time of night instead of leaving them on all night. I kind of think they turn off now.
Does tag and go turn off now at a certain time?
Seems like they adjusted them.
When they first opened, we had some complaints about the lighting, and we contacted them. They voluntarily turned them off. And at that time, we didn't have a lighting ordinance either on that first tag and go.
Yeah. So maybe it doesn't even need to be added. It might already be covered in our lighting ordinance.
We also, the one over by Costco, that one tends to be a little bright at
it's
night.
It's very bright.
As well.
Lights up the whole neighborhood.
As recently as yesterday, they said that they were going to mute those lights and stop them from flashing. So hopefully they'll take care of that. But.
Okay. And then add additional plantings, that seems super vague to me. Does that work? I mean, because it's a PD, does that just mean it is vague so that we can kind of regulate that?
Yeah, I mean, there's something to that, to be able to because each site's going to be a little different.
Sure.
You know, we preferred the language that we put in there. You know, it was a little more specific with plantings, berms, combinations, but that still leaves some discretion that you would have.
And I will just jump in here and say that the more specific is definitely better. This is an area, you remember with conditional uses, that was a very big issue for the legislature. And they don't want things left to discretion. They want it to be very specific with your standards, or that if you're doing it as a strictly conditional use, that then you're addressing some problem and how they fix that problem. But there shouldn't be any in between.
So if that's the case, then it sounds to me like your original language is a lot better than add additional plantings.
Well, we have in our landscape ordinance, we have a ratio, a certain number of bushes and plants per 500 square feet. We could take that and double that, and we can include that in there as an actual number. And so we do have some language we can pull from already in the landscape code and just place that in that area. The other one is if you look at number 8, the more no more restrictive than other drive-through businesses. We don't regulate other drive-through businesses. So in a sense, that would just wipe out that entire paragraph because we don't regulate any of the other drive-through businesses.
You might want to just stand there, John.
So help me out with because it seems like on the car wash we saw last, the issue was the bright colored paint. So this section where it says may be used to accent the business, we struck shall not be allowed. What's our thought process on that?
It may be good to, again, like Paula is mentioning, it's hard to, without a specific standard, adding that may be. We really don't have a definition for accent, and so maybe we could put no more than 1 or 2%. We can actually put a percentage in there, or up to 1 or 2%. As approved or reviewed as the PD design review, and so maybe we put a little bit more direction in that if you want to have the ability for them to provide some accents.
Okay, so that's the thought process. Let them provide some accents, but not go the whole building.
Yeah, because that ends up, on the last one, that was one of the concerns was the bright blue and the yellow of the drive-through. And if you look at the one in, I believe, Highland that the council ultimately approved, I don't recall there being very much or no of the yellow. It was mostly their signage that identified their business.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Only in the signage.
And so that's where we looked at that one and said, well, they do have the ability to, badge with the signage. And so it's up to the council whether you want to provide them with ability to brand it more.
So do we need to make those changes and revisit it, or do we approve it with those changes? What's your
It's however the
preference?
council, if you want to, we can, if you guys feel comfortable with giving us direction and change, we can change that, and we can do that as part of the condition. Or if you want us to modify it and bring it up, it's however the council would like to handle it.
I'm so comfortable with that, I might fall asleep. So if you're okay with that, Adam, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say, yes, we can do that.
I think the staff came up with good recommendations. It's more cut and dry than what the planning commission added.
Yeah, hopefully with some clarification like this, somebody will come in and want to build a car wash, because we might need one. That's a joke. You guys are all asleep on me. I'll go ahead and make a motion if we're ready, unless somebody else has a question or needs a car wash. I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance amending Title 10-8B-1 and all those other numbers as outlined, and with some direction that staff can make the changes as discussed. Does that work, Paula? I know. Yes, you'll clean it up later.
How about approving the staff proposed one rather than the planning commission proposals?
Yes.
With the changes to the percentage for accent color and the changes for the landscape to the land.
Did we need
landscape
changes?
Code.
Did we need
We'll
changes
just
in
double
lighting
that.
too?
And striking that lighting.
Yeah, and striking the lighting. You got that, Christina?
Do you want to double the landscaping requirement for the bushes and the trees?
So do you feel comfortable with that, or is it double
do.
arbitrary, or is that?
It's something that when you look at most of the commercial and you're looking to kind of screen and soften up, I think double would be, it's really not that much to double it. So I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's the intent of my motion, is to encompass all those things that we discussed.
I'll second
So hopefully that does.
Motion by Jimmy, hopefully
Christina's got it, I can
Got
tell.
it.
Yeah, she's.
seconded by Danielle. All in favor, starting with Bardell.
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is a request to approve a preliminary plat for a two-lot commercial subdivision called Dino-Commercial Dixie Drive. Site is located at the intersection of Stardust Drive and Dixie Drive. Lots are 2. Zoning is C3. General plan is commercial. The applicant is Rosenberg Associates. Representative is Jared Bates. So here's the zoning right here at Zone C3 right here along Dixie Drive. And again, there's the aerial image. And here is your two-lot subdivision. They will share an access off of Dixie Drive, and they will be required to build a D-cell lane within this area here to get access. And so they'll have a cross-access agreement here. They'll also be required to make sure that they allow for cross-access between them and BioLife as they share an access.
Wes?
I've seen that big Dean Terry sign on that property for ages and ages. So pretty interesting to see something happening there. I assume we're going to get Dino Dash.
Yeah, that's the intent.
Nice car wash spot.
Wes, I'm sorry, did you say that the storm drain issue has been resolved? That's on the west side of the property. They actually have an existing easement that runs down here for that. I forgot that we did that with BioLife, that we created an easement for that offsite drainage from Albertsons that comes down here and through here. So they have a 20-foot easement here and here that is private to the Albertsons development. And is there anything that needs to be considered at this time regarding that easement?
No.
Or the utility? Okay.
Yep.
Any more questions or comments?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve the preliminary plat for Dino Dash Commercial, two-lot commercial subdivision located at the intersection of Stardust Drive and Dixie Drive.
Second.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the next item is a request to approve a preliminary plat for a one-lot commercial subdivision called Summit Athletic Club. Site is located at the intersection of 2 Eat Drive and Sunset Boulevard. Zoning is C2. The property is 2.35 acres. Applicant is Rosenberg Associates, and Jared Bates is a representative. So here is where it's located right here. Here's 2 Eat right there where they put in that new, city's installed that new traffic signal. Just another aerial view. And so it's this lot right here. There is an existing storm drain that comes through the lot right there. You can see there's 2 curb inlets that come through and then drain to that wash. So they'll be required to provide a 25-foot easement for that storm drain line for maintenance, a 25-foot easement here for an existing power line that goes right through there. There is an additional, if you look, let me see if I can go back. There's this portion of the lot still, or the parcel still remains. That will be commercial, and so they'll be required to provide a cross access, as this would be that access for that lot to Dixie Drive as well.
Questions?
Be a great place for a car wash. I'll make a motion if we're ready to, I guess this is going in Dean Terry's front yard, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and make a motion. We approve the preliminary plat for Summit Athletic Club, a one-lot commercial subdivision.
Second.
Motion by Jamie, seconded by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is a request to approve a preliminary plat for a 58-lot residential subdivision called White Cliffs. Site is located on the north side of White Dome Drive at approximately 1300 East. Property is 4.86 acres for a density of 11.93 dwelling units. An acre zone is PDR. General plan shows this is HDR. Applicant is Development Solutions Group. Representative is Ryan Thomas. So this came before you not too long ago. This is Southern Hills Development. Now they're coming through the platting process. The next 3 items are the 3 preliminary plats in this area. They have done a traffic study to look at the possible traffic signal right here. It does say, as you recall, they had 3 PDRs, I think 2 more, and then some R17 and then commercial. The traffic study does say at a future point they would be required to do a traffic signal. A traffic signal will be required here based on the amount of traffic that's already here, the traffic that's now coming, or the future traffic from that high school that's under construction here, and then from their development there. So we'll have to get with them in the next couple weeks or so and work out an agreement. It's not required now based on their traffic study. It's required when they start, I think, as I recall, and I had to check it again, it's more when the commercial on that starts to come into play that traffic signal would be required. So I'm just letting you know that is out there, and it is part of the next 3. So here's a layout of the subdivision. You've probably already seen that. They will be providing cross access here, which I thought was great, between that and the next PDR, so that residents can go back and forth instead of going out and around. They will be required to provide a 30-foot easement here, and this area here, the open space would be, I think on this one it's part of this development. They will be doing an HOA for this development, as they have common area within it.
Wes, when is that high school going to open?
I think the plan is 2022 fall, is what they're saying. I could be wrong, but.
So we probably want the traffic signal by then.
Yeah, I don't know if Adam has any, it's all kind of come at once. And so we haven't really ever thought of a traffic signal here till recently. And so I was going to get with, I wanted the traffic study to see if it was required based on development, and it is. So I was going to get with Cameron and go over that with him and see kind of what our priorities are as far as traffic signals. But you're right, with the school, that'd be a good question.
Just to add to the school, I was speaking with the school board, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I think that date's moved back.
Is it?
Yeah, it's later.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. They're getting the plat ready, so you see a lot of dirt moving right there. They're just getting the site ready,
Right.
and then they're going to wait to build for a little while. So it's going to be a couple more years.
Okay, so they'll change their mind.
Well, that certainly gives us more time, but it doesn't change the need, and I'd rather be in front of it. Probably the most common comments I get are traffic and water. This is one that we can easily get in front of, I think.
Right.
I'm ready for a motion if you're so inclined.
I'll make a motion that we approve a preliminary plat for White Dome Townhomes, a 66-lot residential subdivision located on the... Am I on the right one?
No, it's actually
Sorry.
White
15.
Cliffs.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get out of here.
I'll hurry.
Let me back up here. Consider approval of the preliminary plat for White Cliffs, a 58-lot residential subdivision located on the north side of White Dome Drive at approximately 1300 East and White Dome Drive.
Second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Danielle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next is a request to approve a preliminary plat for a 66-lot residential subdivision called White Dome Townhomes. Again, the site is located on White Dome Drive at approximately 1400 East. Property is 8.22 acres. The density is 8.03, and the zone is actually PDR. That was wrong. And Ryan Thomas Development Solutions Group. So this is this. Here's White Dome Drive. North is to your right. And so they'll be finishing White Dome Drive, obviously, same as the last subdivision. We'll be finishing it. They'll also be required, because if you remember, there was a space, there's area of an open space here that will be between the single family and this project, and so they'll be required to finish the roadway improvements through the open space and along the frontage of this development here. And the open space, he's planning on giving it, or it'll be deeded to this association here to own and maintain right there. The one change is, this will probably go to a 60-foot road. He's just going to build that 25 feet of pavement now, but it does show commercial on this side, which would require a minimum 60-foot road. So that road will need to be widened if they stay with the commercial as they intended on their general plan.
Questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for White Dome Townhomes, a 66-lot residential subdivision located on the south side of White Dome Drive at approximately 1400 East and White Dome Drive.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Jimmy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is a request to approve a preliminary plat for a 79-lot residential subdivision called White Trails Phases 1 through 3. Site is located on the north side of White Dome Drive at approximately 1400 East. Property is 11.54 acres for a density of 6.85 dwelling units and acre zone is PDR. So this one's on the north side. Here's the existing residential right there, aerial map. And it's this development right here. Again, with the last one, they'll be required to finish the frontage improvements through the open spaces. It will go to this association, and then the frontage improvements along here.
Questions for Wes?
Well, I have one question. Wes, when we ask them to maintain open space, so for instance, that HOA maintaining the open space, what's that requirement?
It'll just be in their name. You know, they will have a little bit here. You can see they're going to disturb some right here. And so they'll have, when I talked to the applicant, their proposal is just to rock face that, and not landscape it, but to rock face that. And so it'll just fall under them to keep it open and free of, well, here where it's undisturbed, you know, just, there really isn't much maintenance. More of the maintenance comes on the areas that they disturb. And they'll have to, once it's built, maintain that in a good condition.
Mm-hmm. We had an incident, not an incident, but there was this space through town that's open space, and it's like all these properties back up into it, and there's garbage everywhere in it, but nobody's really taking care of it. So that's why I was curious, if there's a requirement when we have drainages or open spaces that we say, your HOA needs to keep this clean, keep garbage out of it, or is it just assumed that they would do so?
that becomes an issue that code enforcement ends up dealing with. And so then they would be sent to the HOA notices telling them that they need to clean it up, they may need to cut weeds, they may need to fix something with their drainage, those kind of issues. If the HOA goes away, then you end up sending the notice to all the property owners in that subdivision because the property owners are the HOA. Okay. So that's how they end up handling it.
Or Danielle's talking's commercial.
Yeah, it's commercial HOA.
So this is a pretty hilly area. I mean, does this fit within hillside ordinance zone?
It is, and it's not in the hillside overlay zone.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Ready for a motion if you guys are.
I make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for Whitetail Trails Phase 1 through 3, a 79 lot residential subdivision located on the north side of White Dome Drive at approximately 1400 East and White Dome Drive.
Second.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Bardell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
88 plus units of future White Dome WASP High School students housing.
Yep.
We absolutely did.
Is that what they're going to be?
Either that or
I just made that up.
Jimmy Hughes Memorial High School.
So I don't have any appointments to boards or commissions. Reports, Bardell, do you have anything?
No.
Greg? Brian?
Nope, just other than we got our website up and going for the memorial wall, and we look forward to a lot of donations.
It will be very cool. I just have a couple of things. So a huge thank you to all city staff that was involved in the Ironman on Saturday. I think almost everybody from the city worked that day. And when I was down at the finish line, so they haven't had an Ironman that was that close. And there was 5-second difference between first place and second place. But I had a guy motion me over, and I thought he was with the press, but he happened to be Lionel Sanders, the gentleman who won. It's his marketing PR guy. And he just said, I wanted you to know that out of all of the Ironman races that Lionel runs all over the world, this is his very favorite. And he said, we love it here because of the people and the hospitality. He said it is just the most incredible place to be. So that's not only a huge kudos to our staff and the event, people who put on such a great event, but to our community as a whole, that people see our kindness and love to be here. And then what night did we play pickleball? Tuesday? Tuesday, the Southern Utah Pickleball Association, they had a tournament a few weeks earlier called Paint Your Courts, and they presented us a check that was almost $30,000 that they raised during that tournament to help resurface the Little Valley pickleball courts. So between their donation and what the city can do, we can do half the courts, get those resurfaced. And a lot of people down there and a lot of young kids down there playing pickleball. It was fun to see, and it was a good thing. It's just people are like, but a reporter interviewed me after, and I just said, this is what's so great about this community, because you have organizations like this that love pickleball so much and know that the city can only do so much per year with pickleball courts or resurfacing. And so what do? They just say, well, let's help them. And it's a private-public partnership that's awesome. So it's just one more great thing about our
Don't you want to add
community.
that you were the winner of our pickleball game?
Yes. I beat Danielle and Cody Schmidt, and I've never played the game before, by 1 point, and I'm still freaking sore. I'm out of shape. Hey, but I'm gonna work on it so I can earn that award next year.
Me and Bardell almost beat Belinda.
It wasn't even close.
They creamed you guys. And I kept saying to Adam, you know who hires and fires you, right?
It was
He
only-
didn't care. He was slamming them down your throat.
It was only because we had warmed up and you guys hadn't. That was the only reason. If we had played one more, it would have been very different.
It was
I'm
fun to
certain
watch,
of it.
though.
Not getting hurt was my moral victory.
Jimmy, any reports?
While you guys were playing pickleball, I did hold down the fort at flood control. Because you guys weren't there, you were elected as chair and vice chair of Flood Control Authority. We didn't have a whole lot on the agenda. We did take care of business, and there was some stuff, getting some stuff out of some of the river. Other than that, nothing major there. We did push off the new member orientation, so you guys will get that. Lucky you. Other than that, I don't have anything. Oh, I would just say there's lots of stuff going on at Switch Point. Lots of stuff you're going to hear about as far as we got some pretty big donors that are ready to do some stuff as far as some more projects for attainable housing. Brian and we talked to Carol and got in on some of that information and some exciting things coming there.
So wasn't that the Open and Public Meetings Act that you had to do it?
Oh, they did
Flood
that as
control?
well. They did that. There was a new member orientation. I don't know what they were going to do for that.
So if you've done the Open Public Meetings Act, just send your certificate to everyone requesting it. You only have to do it one time a year. So you don't want to have to sit through that.
You can do it online.
Yeah, it's very easy online. Danielle.
Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight that this Saturday, I think there's like 2,000 youth that are cleaning up around our community.
I think it's even more than
the
that. I
number
think
keeps
it's
getting higher
yeah.
every day. So it might even be up in the 2,500 range. So that's really just amazing. And they're going all over town and cleaning up. So that's going to be awesome. It is Bike Month. And we have on Monday, May 17th, we're going to do a bike ride that used to be Bike with Pike, but we're going to call it Roll with Patrol now. So we have food at 5:45, but then we're rolling out on our bikes with our bike patrol at 6:30. And we'll just do the Mayor's Loop. And that's Bike to Work week. That Monday is the week that we're supposed to do Bike to Work. So if you've ever thought about biking to work, that's a fun week to start. And that Friday, we'll have a booth down at Confluence for anybody who wants to try commuting. And I think we'll have the booth from like 8 a.m. to like 1 p.m. If you want to stop by, we'll have all sorts of swag and food, and we can fix your bike. And then also on May 19th, which I forgot to look, I think that's a Wednesday, yeah. That's the day that SR7, that last section of SR7 opens that day. So if anybody wants to come out and ride their bike on that fresh road before the cars start at 9 a.m., we have a 15-mile stretch that we're going to ride. So come out and join us at 9 a.m.
Can Brian and Bartel bring their Harleys? I knew they were thinking that.
I just recall a time when Mayor MacArthur opened up some stretch of highway and invited motorcycles. So I'm just saying, I'll be there.
Maybe you guys could be our
Yeah,
escorts.
your escorts.
Pace car. Yeah.
Pace
All right.
bikes.
Come on out. Come on out and pace us. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Mayor.
And we don't have need for a closed session, so I will take a final motion.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Is there not something going on next Thursday, an open house? And
Oh, yes.
Yes, we are starting city council at 4 o'clock at the fire station on 2450 East to go over the budget. And then the open house is in that 2450 East Park right there by the fire station from 6 to 8.
I'm sure I would have gotten a notice, and maybe I did and just didn't remember it, but I hate it when I see things on Facebook and I know that I'm supposed to be there and didn't know about it.
One next week, right?
Yeah, David's going to be doing a lot of PR over the next few days. We don't want to get too far ahead of it and have people just forget about it, so David's on it.
Yeah, in fact, David just 2 minutes ago texted me, did you mention the neighborhood open house? Neighborhood open house from 6 to 8 next Thursday, 2450 South Park.
Thank you.
2450 East Park. East Park. I'm ready for a
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did you get that? It was Bardell and Brian. Hey.
Who's doing the hot dogs? You bring one veggie hot dog, please.